Okay, just now we stopped at this chart. Next, we look at relationship between marketing and technical personnel. So you have x-axis. So x-axis, it means opportunity for trade-off is limited. So you have a technical risk assessment, technical guy here, and a marketing here. They also do risk management. You have a technical risk management and marketing or market risk management here. So these two departments, they will join and then they will go into deciding the project objective. So once the project objective reach, then they'll go for planning phase. Planning phase, they need two input, financial risk assessment and schedule risk assessment. So they put inside here, then they will execute the projects. So this is a phrase diagram, relationship between marketing and technical personnel. Okay, so I need to highlight here is that opportunity for trade-off. Trade-off means changes, right? So if you already start already, as you go deeper into the projects, the trade-off will opportunity to do changes is very small, right? And because if you do changes after you decide everything, you have to go back to the drawing board, and then you have a more cost that involved. Okay. So for project failures, they have a few categories, right? So first one is planning or execution failure. All this you read lah. There are lots of things. So if the question asks you, project failures can broke down in several categories. Please explain the categories and a few examples of the failures. So the question actually asks you to name the type or category of the failures and then give two or three. It depends. The question will be very specific. Give two or three examples for each category of the failures. So you just need to memorize maximum, I think, three lah. Okay, so first one is a planning failure. Second one is the governance failure or stakeholders failure. Right? Or you can say it's a management failure, but use back, if the question come out, use back the one that you see on the slides. It's a governance stakes failure. Okay. Okay, now. So if this kind of question come out, use back the one on the PowerPoint slides. Don't use your own wording. Okay. So the third one is political failure. This one is more on the bigger picture. For example, change of government officer and all this. Election. This. Okay. So there are three types. If this kind of question come out, only need to give three types of category. First one is planning execution failure. Give two or three example. Normally, two example is sufficient because you have three main category. Then governance stakeholder failure, give two example. Right. Then political failure, give two example. In other textbook, they also have a failure that very specific. It can be IT failure or construction failure. Right. So for this module, you only need to mention three category of failure. Okay. 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 The way we ask question will be very specific to a certain keyword. For example, category of failure. So we won't use the type of failure. So if you use category, means these slides. The expected answer is on these slides. Okay, degrees of project success and failure. So I give you all. So there are 4 types of degree of project success and failure. This now is a category. So this is a degree of project success or failure. There are 4. Either you complete success or you complete failure. And then between the success and failure, you have partial success or partial failure. Yeah, so there are 4 degree of project success and failure. It depends on the elaboration here. So you read on the slides lah. But basically, I from the word itself, you know what does it mean. Okay. So partial success here is that you have 1 or more success constraint that is not met. Partial failure here is that project was not completed and it may be cancelled in early life cycle. However, knowledge or intellectual properties were created may be used for future project. It means you learn something from these projects. Then it fall between below partial failure. Okay. Okay. Next, also another main things in your module is called stage gate process. Stage gate process. So this is focusing on the process in the project management. Okay. So here they have a few process here. Again, each company have their own stage gate process, but I give you a general one. This is just an example of a diagram. Okay. So stage gate process, they have been used for many years, but most recent one or modern project management, we copy something from the stage gate process and we name as a life cycle phases. Okay. Now stage gate model, you have these few phrases here. So you have scoping. Scope means you define the scope. Scoping, business case, development, testing, and launch. You have these 5 phrases. And then you have all these phrases here. Scoping. Once you've done the scope, management say, okay, then only you go to the next one. All right, so then you tender or you present the business case. So business plan done. After done, you go and develop the prototypes. This more on the engineering or manufacturing projects. And then you go for testing, and then you launch the final products. So this stage gate process, you see there's a this is a square here, or diamond shape here. So this is gate number 1, gate number 2, gate number 3, gate number 4. It means that this is like if you pass a certain stage, you open the gate. Upon a certain stage, you open the gate. Okay. So in this 2.6 section, the stage gate process of this diagram, you will see that you have stages and gate. Stages means the one in the color. Gate is the control gate, is the one that in the diamond shape here. Okay. So what is stage? Definition of stage is a group of activities. Okay, group of activities. And then stages is managed by cross-functional teams. It involves a lot of department. Okay, so this is stage. What is gate? Gate are structured decision point. Gate is a decision point, whether go or no go. It means if the scoping here, you done already this stage, but when it comes to gate 1 is the time you make decision. You can stop your project here. If you think that, oh, this is the scope, our scope is nothing that you can do for these projects, you have to say sorry to your customers. This we cannot achieve because we don't have the equipment or we don't have the talent that you need. Right? So just a thumb of rules. For good project management, normally your gate will not more than 6, means the 6 layer of decision making. You don't have more than 6. Right? Yeah. So if you have more than 6 or complex projects, oil and gas, then you have a loss of review process. So what is the purpose of project management? Project management, you manage the stage between the gate here so that you shorten the times. Okay. Okay, the rest you read. So there's a checklist for the stage gate process, and all these are all the questions. So where we are, and now this is a time. So what are the time frame? Is there any risk? And then what help you need from the management? Okay. So again, you still keep repeating or keep seeing the same keyword: time, cost, what is the risk, and then what are the help you need. Okay. So again, we still go back to the role of a project manager. Project manager are never allowed to function as their own gatekeeper. This is I need to highlight this one. So what is gatekeeper? Gatekeeper, it can be individual, for example, sponsor or group of individual that assigned by the senior manager for the decision-making process. So it means that project manager, they are not the one who stay at the gate here to say whether it can go and no go. But so you can give advice. You can give advice, and then because if you manager, you fall as a gatekeeper, then maybe some interest of conflict of interest be there. So again, if the person is a gatekeeper, he must make decision, right? If not, then the process will stop there. The phrase will stop there. So these are all the common decision. Therefore, it can be director, it can be someone who assigned by the top management. Yes, normally it's director lah. Normally it's a senior director or maybe it's the previous project leaders that have been familiar with that one. So it's just a chop and sign, can proceed and so on. So okay, so these are the decision normally. Either you proceed with revise, it means you change a little bit, or you delay for decision until you get more information, or you just cancel the projects. So there are 4 main direction. Approve with just delay, you need to get more information, or you cancel the projects. Okay, so another role is called sponsor. Sponsor must also have courage to terminate the projects. Purpose of gate is not only to obtain authorization, but identify failure early enough. It's like a review. Not I cannot use the word review. It's like a early detection before you spend more money on the projects. Okay. Okay. The benefit you read lah. Benefit you read. So these are the point on why the gate stage process can fail. What are the failure factor? So one is that you assign a gatekeeper, but you're not giving them enough power to make execution power decision, right? So you assign gatekeeper, but gatekeeper afraid to decide. So, or you denying project teams access to critical information, all right? So some company, they have some sensitive information. You block that personnel from accessing the information, right? Then you're allowing project team to focus on more on gates than stage. So this is also one of the failure because project team, they have to be in the stage and not on the gate. Okay, so we have done with the stage gate process. Stage gate process basically is this diagram. What is important is this diagram. So you understand what is the color one. What I mean by the color, all this, what I mean by the shape of this one, and who will stay in here, and then where is the position of project manager. Okay, and why this stage-gate, how can this phase-gate model fail? What are the factors? Yeah, this one, this 4 point. Okay, or the question can ask you what are the normal decision. This one, the question can ask you this one. What are the gatekeeper decision? What are the 4 most common gatekeeper decision? So very direct, no? This one. So I did tell you, section A is 7 to 8 marks. So these are 4 points. So 2 mark, 2 mark, 2 mark, 2 mark. Okay. So we are done with the stage gate process. Now we go into life cycle, project life cycle. Okay. So life cycle is from start to end, process from start to end. Okay. So you have 5 phases for a system: concept, planning, testing, implementation, closure. Okay, concept, planning, testing, implementation, closure. So if you look at this life cycle, you check back the previous section. It's actually similar. Okay. So project phases, you have 5 phases or 5 life cycle, 5 phases: concept, planning, testing, implementation, closure. So we go one by one. So concept is conceptual. You have a scope of the projects and so on. So this one include preliminary evaluation. You check the time, cost, performance, and company resources. So this is a concept, means you gather information about the projects and then assess whether you can do or cannot do, or what the customer want. All right. So is the first, you can say, is the first gate that you make decision whether go or no go. If you can make decision early as conception phase, then you save a lot of money. Okay, it's the first cut. Second one, planning. So planning means you refine what you do in the first phase there, conceptual. Okay, you assign resources to each of the item inside the conception, right? Then you assign resources. Okay, second one is assign resources. The cost you have two operating and implementation. You have operating cost and implementation cost. So again, you can, y-axis is the cost, x-axis is the time. So you have 2 color there. One is implementation cost for non-recurring, and you have another curve here is operating cost. Okay. Now, why operating costs start at a certain time? So here is because you have 5 phases. So normally conceptual, you don't need conceptual. Here is operating. Operating normally after planning or testing phase. So there is a direct time here. There's an empty space here because you spend for conceptual planning, and once you go into operating, means you go to testing implementation phase already. Which one? Yeah. Yes. So you'll be, that's why the graph is the space is here and then it start increasing. Okay. So implementation costs include one-time expenses, construction new facilities, and so on. So that's why there is a big jump before the operating cost. Let's say you build a new factory or new plant, so the cost will increase. So once the plant ready, then you start operate already. So the implementation will drop a little bit. Then you start with the operating cost. Okay. Okay, this is another graph, cost benefit analysis. So y-axis is the cost value of information and the time. So again, you have two curve here. You have two curve. So you have an estimate value, and you have cost and value. So this one is the cost of obtaining information. This line is estimate value of information. So try to stay within this region in the management. Okay, so this is feasibility studies. You will see this graph, but for this module, I don't test you on feasibility studies. So this is just touch and go that, okay, you've seen this graph before. Okay. Important is this, you understand there's 5 phases. Very high chance I'll ask you on the section A. Just put this, or you just write all this name here lah. Then you get the marks. Okay. Now testing is very familiar in very normal in engineering, right? Implementation, you implement, especially manufacturing, you go into production floor already. Then you close the projects. Close project, not necessarily you stop the production, but you hand over to other department, right? Okay. Okay, so this is another graph, just a simplified graph. You see revenue, y-axis, and then the time. So you will see a stream of projects. So project A, B, C, D. So in the company, you have project A, project B, project C, and so on. So the total revenue is the point of each of the projects. So you'll go up and go down. So if you refer to this graph here, you have 3 project manager. Project A have 1, project B have 1, project C have 1, and then the owner of the company will monitor the revenue of all the projects at a certain time. Okay, so as the owner of the company, your job is to make sure the revenue is continue up there. You generate revenue. So the rest you read. Okay. So there are various life cycle phrases that can be used, and when you change from one industry to another one, it will be changing. So this the one that you see on the screen here, concept planning, testing, implementation, closer. This is a general process, general life cycle phrases. But when it comes to individual specific industry, then they make some modification. Okay. For your individual projects, right? You need to mention about this one, project life cycle. Okay. Not group projects. Group projects. So go and read the website, how they develop the products, the IP specific products. So go and highlight this one. Okay. 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 So we are done with the project life cycle. Another one, we go to system thinking. What I mean by system thinking? System thinking is a judgment in summaries, how you make judgment, how you make decision. Definition of process of problem solving. The process indicate ongoing system that you need input from the bodies or from the parts. Okay. So what is system approach? You read or this. It means that you summarize all the information. You look at all information and then you make decision. Okay. The final or the objective is to find the best solution of the problems. Okay. Again, system thinking, they are also have phrases in the problem solving. This is has phrases of development similar to life cycle phrases. The phrases is defined as follows. So when you read question, don't confuse between life cycle phrases and system thinking phrases. Don't confuse between these two. So if you see the word life cycle phrases, which is the 5 phrases just now in the previous slides, if the question mentions system thinking or system approach to solve problems, it means you need to give these 4 answers, not the previous one. Okay, try to differentiate the two system thinking and the life cycle phases. Okay, it's the different things. So for system thinking, you have translation, analysis, trade-off, and synthesis. Okay. Translation means you explain to all the team's member what are the information you have, right? Then you do analysis. Trade-off means you find alternative or sometimes something in the constraint there you need to sacrifice. Okay. Synthesis means you group all the information and then come up with the best solution. Okay. So these are the terms. In the system thinking: objective, requirement, alternatives, selection criteria, constraint, and all this. Okay. I won't ask you this. I want to ask you this. Okay, so this is an example of a diagram. What is a system approach? Okay, so we go for there's a phrases here: translation, analysis, trade-off, and synthesis. Okay, so if you see this forward, you see translation, analysis, trade-off, synthesis. This is a system approach and not life cycle. Life cycle have 5. This is 4. Okay, and then during translation, you define your objective, then you pass to the next phrase. During analysis, you look at the requirement, you look at the alternative, what are the alternatives you have. Then trade-off here is whatever you can change to meet the objective. So trade-off here is the factor. Then synthesis, you conclude the system. Okay, so all this have all the constraint here can change. Okay, so and then you have a feedback system back to the objective. It's a review process here. Okay, what is important on this chart is the 4 phases here: translation, analysis, trade-off, and synthesis. Okay. Okay. So the rest you read. I highlight on the slides, sir. Okay. So all decision or chart, there's a closed loop. It's a closed loop. So you need to close the system by giving feedback to a new project or what. So there's a feedback system. Okay. So when you do your FYP later, FYP 1, you need to have a design or experiment. Also, you will see there's a flow chart. So make sure your flow chart is a closed loop. So these are the steps. There are steps you read. So what are the process here? Okay, a small quiz before I think we can conclude. So a structured process for managing a multitude of projects is commonly referred as what? Structured process. So it's a project management methodology. Of course, there's a big section to explain about product management methodology, but I skipped the part. But it just give you okay, what is project management methodology means is a structured process. Okay, number 2, most common terminology for a reusable project management methodology is this one also. We use template. Again, this project management methodology I skip because it's a very long section. Okay. Number 3, the major behavior issue in getting organization to accept and use the project management methodology effectively is behavior issue. Okay, you have a multiple boss reporting. Okay, the major difference between project and a program is time. The time. Okay. So again, there is a slide showing you the definition of project and program. So you go back to the slides, but the major difference is the time. So number 5, project that remain almost entirely within one functional area are best managed by which one? A or C? Okay, function manager. So because the keyword already give you already function. So again, good relationship between project manager and function manager is important. Okay, large projects are managed by which one? Okay, project and project office. This one, large projects. Okay. Most common threshold limit on when to use the project management methodology. This is also under project methodology. This one is the size of the projects and duration. This is if you use a methodology, they will look at the size. The size means the cost and the duration. A grouping of project is called a program. Okay. So the most difficult decision of an executive sponsor to make at the end phase of review meeting is to allow original, revise, postpone, cancel. Which one? Oh, of course, this ABCD is a decision possible answer, but for the sponsor, the most difficult decision at the end phrase, the keyword here is end phrase. End phrase already is what you cannot cancel at the end already. You already sponsor, make money, throw money already at the end, you cannot cancel. Okay, see a D lah. D. So this one, to me, the most difficult decision. You throw in money already. Okay, having too many life cycle phrases may detrimental because so product managers spend too much time planning, forget review meetings rather than managing the phrases. Okay. Okay, number 14. A project is determined early because of technology cannot develop and resources are applied to other projects that end up being successful. Which of the following is true concerning the first projects? Okay. So a project determined is terminated early because of technology cannot develop. Resources are applied to other projects that is end up. Okay. So which are following concerning the first projects? Whether it's failure, success, or what? What do you think? Okay. So first project is success because termination is done early enough before additional resources is squandered. Okay. Okay. So the rest is not lah. There's no mention promotion here. Reassign to less important project is not here. First project regard as failure. So there's no failure criteria here. Okay. Failure is what? Not achieving customer requirement. Right. So okay. Number 15. Which of the following would not be regarded as a secondary definition? Okay. So you know that success, you have two primary success and a secondary. So success is from the eyes of customers. Secondary is from the internal process. Okay. Would not regard secondary. So does your customer apply OSHA or not? But it's an internal, right? So he asks you, would not regard as a secondary definition. So it means it asks you for which one is customer's one. Okay, B, yeah, would not regard as a secondary. Yeah. Oh, violated. But they are violated. Yeah. So when you violated this one, it's not success already. Okay. When you violate that one, because yeah, secondary definition is an internal process, but they ask you how to define internal process project as a success. But this one is not, right? You made, but you fail the internal process. Yeah. Okay. Quite tricky lah. This one. But again, you don't have a MCQ in your test or final exam. Okay. So we conclude chapter 2. Okay. So your replacement class, for 5th of June will be on 28th Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you miss this class, your attendance for the 5th will be absent. Okay, this one will, because we replace the class. Okay. Okay, let me end the recording.